What's a hack in your industry that customers aren't supposed to find out? Orchestral violinist. Sometimes we don't play all the notes. And as a tubist, I missed my entrance to play my whole note after waiting 10 minutes cause I counted 180 measures instead of 181. I worked at a restaurant, and one time the chef burned the applesauce that was supposed to be served with the pork chop. He put it on the menu as smoked applesauce, and people loved it. This works as a mom with kids, too. You mess up in the kitchen, get fancy with the dinner name, and kids will eat it. I joke that being a good baker isn't chemistry. It's not telling people what you have planned to make until it's out of the oven. It's not a flat failed cake, it's brownies. Home Depot brand mulch Vigoro is the same exact mulch as the Lowe's brand Premium. The only difference is the quality of the bag. The material comes from the same pile. It's the same dye. There is zero difference. Buy the cheaper option. Also, on the topic never buy mulch or topsoil sold by weight. Always buy by volume 1 cuffed, 1.5 cuffed, etc. Humidity, rain, moisture in general changes things. A week or two later, when the moisture leaves, that 40-pound bag that got placed on the pallet is now 32 pounds. I took my town's free mulch, which is made from the brush clippings that residents drop off at the waste center. It was full of artillery fungus, and my siding looked like a pox outbreak. Never again. Just because you're on hold doesn't mean we can't hear you. I learned this the hard way when I hollered I cannot wait till we get your balls cut off, to my cat for peeing on something lol. Another fun one, if you're using a chat feature, we can see what you type even before you hit enter. I've seen some wild things typed then deleted. What's a hack in your industry that customers aren't supposed to find out? This was 6 to 7 years ago, so may not be relevant, but when I worked at Enterprise Rent-A-Car, the higher-ups were so tunnel-visioned on positive customer reviews that if there was any problem at all we would write off anything from gas to whole days of rentals. We had a few repeat customers that would catch on and habitually complain about dumb shit to get parts of the bill discounted. Only a rating of completely satisfied counted, and it was tied to bonus and promotion, so a huge incentive to make people happy. Worked at the Orlando International Airport, Iraq. We did about 3,000 car returns a day during peak season. It was such a profitable location that we gave away so much. People leaving in sports cars if they have a midsize rental, free GPSs, etc. Some guy returned a car and said, "Hey, I got a warning light to add wiper fluid, so I went and spent a few bucks and topped it off." My manager gave him $150 off his rental for the inconvenience. He wasn't even mad about having to top off the fluid, he was just letting us know. Another time we had a family with a full Disney trip booked with young kids late at night. You can tell which families are just kinda barely getting this trip pulled off, and aren't really flush with cash. They asked about extending their rental before leaving, and I tried to match their daily rate, and ended up setting their weekly rate as the daily rate. They basically got another week free. They were insanely grateful, and my manager didn't bet, and I do miss that job. When I worked in a hotel as a night porter, the room cost was totally reliant if you were a dick or not. I obviously couldn't just give rooms away, but I could pretty much knock off 50%. One day a very tired woman came in with her baby and I couldn't get the payment to go through at all, so I did give it to her for nothing, just had to make sure she was out before 9 a.m. and I cleaned it myself. That's very kind of you. It must depend heavily on the hotel. I once walked into a hotel late and asked how much rooms were. It was more than I wanted to pay. I went outside and looked at Priceline, booked it online for much cheaper, then walked right back inside with a reservation. When I worked as a pharmacy tech, I spent a lot of time calling insurance companies and waiting on hold while the world burned around me. One time I got impatient with the voice recognition bot because it kept hearing background noise and made selections impossible, so I started cursing it out. Turns out if you say the F word a few times in a short span, the bot recognizes you as an angry customer and will switch you to a representative real quick. I did this multiple times to a lot of strange looks from my coworkers until I explained the hack. Quick edit since I'm getting a lot of the same responses. I now know that you can spam 0 or hash to get the same results. It's a feature being phased out in places. Shouting representative or operator also works. My mom did this out of complete frustration, not knowing it would work. She does it whenever she's tired of trying to navigate automated menus that don't help. You can also interrupt the automated voice by repeatedly saying, representative or customer service to get out of the automated menu and in the queue to speak with someone. I make calls to insurance agencies every day as part of my job. Many of them simply will not connect you to a representative until you jump through their hoops, if at all. Some will say that is not a valid option when you representative or customer service. Some will say that they need more info before they can connect you. Some will give you 3 tries and then hang up. And some simply will never connect you to a live person. You can leave a voicemail and maybe, if they feel like it, they'll call back. Once I was on the phone with my psychiatrist's office. They were closed and opened within 30 minutes, so I was redirected to their voicemail. As I was leaving my voicemail, I started screaming and cussing because my boyfriend almost got hit by a car. Instantaneously, I was transferred to a live person who answered my phone call. This is magic. Related to this, if you repeatedly enter in the wrong birth date, they have to transfer you to a rep. All my patients were born 09099999. Consulting, we don't know either. Half the time they just want to pay someone to give credibility to the idea they already wanted to do. For example, how Bain Capital and McKinsey started advocating for higher CEO pay in the 90s. It gave the CEOs third-party support when they asked the board to cut them unreasonable checks. As a consultant for 15 years, we are good at bullshitting our way into you giving us the answer and then just spouting it back in different words. A friend of mine who works in consulting said 90% of his job can be summed up as find the guy at the company who actually knows what the hell he's talking about, then send his plans to upper management. Lean into the bite. I work in pediatrics, and we're retaught that if a child bites you, lean into it, push whatever part of you they're biting further into their mouth because their automatic reaction will be to open their mouth, and the risk of them breaking your skin is greatly diminished. Source: I was just bitten at work. Edit: a word and grammar. Also, how the hell is my most upvoted comment about being bitten at work? That works for cats too. If you pull away, the teeth dig in. But if you push into their mouth, they get confused and let go. Very effective with dogs too. My Akita is so confused when I've got my forearm at the back of her jaw and she's practically gagging on it. I do this to my brother's dog. She is a Great Dane Mastiff and loves to mouth on your arm when she wants attention and to play. I shove my arm further into her mouth and the dog's like, no, not like that. Any Marriott booking made partially with points, with a 3-day cancellation policy, can be canceled the same day of the booking without any fees. As a charter pilot who books through Marriott and has frequent schedule changes, this is great stuff. Thank you. Seeing there are many Marriott users here. If you're using a free night award, make sure you're using the closest one in value to the reservation's cost. It's awful to see 85k PTS F&A wasted on bookings worth 25k PTS. Kind of unethical, but all calls to Marriott hotels go to the same call centers. If you're in a hurry for any matter, just select new reservation, and your call will be prioritized in the queue. The guys at the call centers cannot transfer you to the front desk. You'll need to go through the menu to hear the option. Even though Expedia, Booking.com, Hotels.com etc. offer discounts, it's worth it to book directly from Marriott, as you will have support via phone and you can get discounts for being an AA member, a senior citizen over 60 or a government employee. Avoid the Marriott Vacation Club promotion. It's just timeshares, and you'll need to attend an awful presentation. If you can brighten a call center worker's day, say yes to any promotion that involves transferring at the end of the call. He'll get a reward and you can hang up as soon as he transfers you. Sometimes teachers do just pull grades out of their ass. I only got through high school because my teachers liked me. They can give you any grade they want within reason. It never pays to be an asshole. I taught a course with a student who plagiarized some answers. He whined and moaned to the professor that it was a culture difference, and he didn't know that copying answers wasn't allowed in the US education system. Despite the fact he has to complete an online module stating that every semester, which I pointed out. Asked the guy to explain to me how he would derive the answer since he claims total understanding. Cusses at me instead, calls me a bitch among other things, curses Allah both professor and student are Muslim, professor is visibly upset, etc. Guy gets a warning from professor, copies again but carefully rewords his answers, still getting 100s on homework assignments and Dis and Fs on quizzes and exams. I absolutely took some liberty in grading his final to ensure an F he had a D and have zero regrets. If he wasn't such a tool I would have shrugged or tried to help him study prior to the exam. Kid wrote me a bunch of nasty emails after that. Hospital bills are negotiable, to a degree. Always ask for an itemized bill and put some effort into analyzing it. Not sure if your homeowner's insurance will cover something? Apply this one simple rule. Was the damage caused by a sudden and one-time occurrence? If the answer is yes, 99% of the time you're covered. If the answer is no, 99% of the time you're not covered. This advice applies to the US. Our physical presence or approach toward the user will sometimes fix the problem they are facing without any additional effort. IT support. When a car salesman offers you a premium car care package, don't buy it. It's a scam. Say you're buying a new car and I offer you the premium car care package. It only costs you X amount of money per month, but every time you come to the dealership, you get * premium car wash. We hose it down, not a proper car wash. * interior detailing and rejuvenation. We use compressed air to make the dust go away. Sometimes a man uses a wet paper towel. * functions check and clock synchronization check if all the lights work. Heater and ampere per Celsius work and set up the clock if it's wrong. * summer and winter inspection and free wiper fluid refill, only done once per season. Check tire thread. Visually check tire pressure. Look at temperature gauge to make sure car isn't overheating and add water in the summer. Tiny amount of wiper fluid in winter. Visually inspect brake discs to see they are not scratched by worn out brake pads. * assistance when you are on the move. You call us and then we can call a tow truck for you, at your expense, only possible during business hours. Basically, we charge for simple things you can do yourself. Also, if a car dealership sells you a used car and they told you it has been fully serviced, take it to your local mechanic and have it serviced properly. Most industries have retention teams because it costs 10x more to get a new customer than it costs to keep one you have. So if you call up and complain, threaten to cancel every other time they raise your rates, they'll probably give you the introductory rate. Just be aware you might have to switch. Edit threaten to cancel added. Edit 2. Another thing I'm seeing a lot is people getting shut down with no explanation. People hang up and call back. Just say you got disconnected. You might have better luck with another operator. Yes, they take notes, but some reps are more empowered than others. Also, feel free to escalate. Make sure you know how long you've been a customer and how long you've been up to date on your bill. If you're nice to my receptionist, I will find a way to squeeze you onto my schedule. If you're a B, then you can have whatever the next available appointment is. If you make the office staff cry, you get a certified letter firing you from the practice. If you use Libby to download books from your library to your Kindle, you can turn it to airplane mode and keep the books as long as you want. The next person in line is not affected, edit, because not everyone wants to illegally download books from sketchy servers in Tuvalu. It's not any easier than what I suggested. I work in IT and can confidently say that providing bribery in terms of food or snack will 100% get your issue taken care of faster and will help you jump the line in the ticket queue. If you know you're shipping something within a few hours' drive of you, always pay for the cheaper shipping option. The premium shipping option is just a markup if you know you're sending something close by. It will arrive the same day regardless. I used to work in the floral industry. Don't call a large national florist. Look up a local florist in your recipient's area and call them directly. Most have websites to help you choose, and you'll save money on delivery and service fees, which can go towards a nicer arrangement. Also, unless you order flowers regularly, the membership loyalty program is a scam and hard to cancel. I used to work in the floral industry. Don't call a large national florist. Look up a local florist in your recipient's area and call them directly. Most have websites to help you choose, and you'll save money on delivery and service fees, which can go towards a nicer arrangement. Also, unless you order flowers regularly, the membership loyalty program is a scam and hard to cancel. If you buy flights through Spirit at the airport, one of the random fees, it's called the user fee or something like that, doesn't apply, so they cost like half as much. I've flown round trip to Chicago for $30, Houston for $45, Miami for $50, etc. Premium tire filling using nitrogen instead of atmospheric air has almost no research to back it up. There is basically no difference between the two. It's just a way for tire shops to charge you an extra $50. I must now add that I am well aware of the differing expansion factors of air and pure nitrogen. Dog trainer, this is a hack we want people to understand. One reason we can get your dog to do something so fast is because we use a high rate of reinforcement. Example, I'm training your dog to walk on leash without pulling, and we practice in your driveway. I feed the dog 20 tiny pieces of food by my knee as we walk to the end of the driveway. The first time a client tries the exercise, they may use 5. The mechanics of the exercise look easy, but it takes time to get used to. And when people are practicing on their own, they do other things instead of focus on the exercise. They forget how often they need to reinforce the dog for doing the right thing. If they do the exercise for 2 minutes during each walk, with a high rate of reinforcement roar, that may be all it takes. And once the dog starts to learn, you can gradually slow down the roar. The mechanics of the exercise look easy, but it takes time to get used to. And when people are practicing on their own, they do other things instead of focus on the exercise. They forget how often they need to reinforce the dog for doing the right thing. If they do the exercise for 2 minutes during each walk, with a high rate of reinforcement roar, that may be all it takes. And once the dog starts to learn, you can gradually slow down the roar.